this morning was about chessboards.
I did skim through that one. This the chessboard?
One of them.
Oh wow! And he made this?
That's the smallest one he made.
Holy cow!
He's made huge ones, but that's the smallest one. And you can actually play that.
So
you
you
need
just store
tweezers.
inside. Yeah, and I just store inside. And
right.
Wow. So how did he made these things too?
Mhm. He made all of it.
I'm gonna lay that right there so you can see it.
Yeah, so you can take that out.
Oh wow! What did he use?
It's like some sort of metal pin thing.
Yeah.
And then he just drilled it into a piece of wood.
Wow.
Carved a piece around it.
That's ridiculous.
And kind of give you an idea how picky my dad could be.
Yeah.
Susie, lay down, hon.
So, before we get started, let's get your weight and get your blood pressure and all that aspect.
Excuse me, Susie. She don't know what to do with herself this morning.
Our system's been acting kind of funky because it didn't save your weight last week.
That's okay. It was bad anyway.
Last week? Yes.
And last week was bad.
262.6 because you were up.
262.6.
Yeah. What was it last week?
It was like 265.
Yeah.
And this morning when I got on the scale, I was like, yes, because when I got down to 260 before, it was 260.8.
Yeah.
This morning it was 260.4.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'll work with that.
Blood pressure's been left good. I'm not gonna worry about that today. So, tell me about the process.
For the most part, it was all right. You know, I think the only one I got kind of teary-eyed is when I talked about Dad taking over the job of Dad for my son, because I ran away from my husband, and he was very abusive, a drug addict, all kinds of stuff, and I did not know about this until after we were married, and I wasn't allowed, you know, in our faith, you're not allowed to get a divorce no matter what, and I felt stuck, you know, type of thing, and one night I was, after I was pregnant, we were truck drivers together, and he got us fired while I was asleep, unbeknownst to me, of course, and so we went out to Illinois to go look for work, and while we were out there we kind of agreed that I would stay at home because I had the baby coming, and he would still go on the road. But we were staying with some friends, and I wasn't, I had offered to help in the kitchen, and she said, nah, just, you know, I got it. So I went in the living room, and I was laying on the floor, and I was filling out job applications. He came in, and he kicked me in the stomach for not being in the kitchen doing the dishes. And it just got uglier and uglier as the night progressed, and I finally decided, I can't do this, you know. And so I packed everything I had. It was one of those, it was kind of stupid because I was cleaning and packing and all this kind of stuff in front of him, and he never registered that I was leaving, and he was yelling how I need to get out of there and how I make his life miserable and all this other good stuff, and I just, whatever, you know, type of thing. And finally I had made arrangements for a taxi to come and get me, to take me to the station, and what was funny is he was sitting on the floor working on the TV set. Him and his buddy were working on the TV set trying to figure out why it wasn't working, and while all that was going on, the taxi came up, and I just grabbed all my stuff and went out the door, and until I was in the taxi and the taxi driving away, he didn't even register I was leaving. you know, and it was like, duh, she left, you know. And of course getting home was, you know, traumatic. I went through all kinds of trauma. And ended up staying with my sister for a while. She thought I was a slave. I ended up staying with my grandmother for a while. My uncle tried to beat me up several times. And ended up with this one lady, a friend of ours told me of a lady that I could stay with. And so I stayed with her, and it worked out at first. You know, she was this critical care nurse, so I was in good hands. I took care of her girls, you know, that kind of thing. After I gave birth, she got ugly with me. Come to find out, I was evil because I had a son. She had 4 girls, and I had a boy, and so therefore I was evil. And so it got to the point where I had to leave there, and I ended up staying with my folks. And that's when my dad decided that Michael needs a dad, type of thing. And you know, Michael's just a baby at the time. He was only a couple months old. So my dad took over the job of dad for Michael, and he taught him everything, you know, type of thing. And Michael says Dad's the reason he's the person he is today. Dad was a Marine, Michael was in the Marines, you know, that kind of thing. That was the only one that was hard.
Okay.
But the rest of them were kind of fun, you know, just thinking about it, you know, that kind of thing.
Process of reflecting on the positive moments. Well, I've seen some tough moments too, but some positive moments.
Yeah, I had a bit of a rough life. You know, it's one of those, you know, raised in a Christian home. My parents stayed together the whole time, you know, and they were pretty good. I think they were a pretty good match, even though there was some friction between me and them. You know, of course, all kids are going to do that. And my parents, major OCD. You know, like wouldn't, you know, clean is clean. I mean, this room would be messy to my mom. This is how OCD she is. And my dad was very particular where everything went, and to the point where I thought it was funny when they were selling their house, getting ready to sell the house. I was helping Mom do stuff around the house, and most of my stuff was outside, mainly because and I would go into the garage to get the tools that I need, and I noticed there's labels everywhere. That's my mom's thing. You know, labels has got to be on everything. Why is there labels in my dad's space, you know? Come to find out, you know, and this is like the second garage he's ever had, you know? And so, come to find out, people would come over and borrow things, you know, or us kids would borrow things, and stuff would not get put back where it belonged. And it bugged my dad, so he had my mom put labels where everything was supposed to go. So everything got back. And there's some places where there's actually an outline of the item that's supposed to go there. So that was just my dad. He was very, very, very picky about where everything went. It was funny.
So you've got a lot of good, like I said, you got a lot of good memories.
Oh yeah.
You said something interesting about how you know, you just had a rough life, a lot of drama going on through your life. So, do you believe that drama basically is created, or do you think that you're a product of the drama?
I'm not sure how that goes. I don't think I'm the product of drama. It's one of those certain individuals would start screaming at me, creating a drama.
Okay.
You know, whether or not I had anything to do with the reason why I'm being screamed at is another issue. You know, I've you know, just like with Annie smacking me around, it's like she was causing the drama. I was just trying to get her to settle down. You know, and I finally just got fed up with her and just walked off. You know, type of thing. And then I end up in court. You know, because it's just, you know, people get out of shape for stupid reasons. Does that make sense?
Why do you think you ended up in court?
She charged me with assault and battery.
Okay. Were you arrested?
No. I ended up in court because of it, though. She basically, she kicked my ass. And I was like, I'm done with you. I'm not putting up with you
Was it a
anymore.
criminal or civil matter?
It was like a misdemeanor, if that's...
So you weren't arrested, but you were cited?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so then you had a summons to appear.
Right.
Before a magistrate. Okay.
Right, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah. And then it turned out that I wasn't gonna be given a trial by jury, and all my evidence the judge had to see, and couldn't find out the judge didn't wanna see it. And so basically my only option was to plead guilty whether or not I did it.
Why did the judge not wanna see it?
Because if he saw it, then I would be innocent, and then the city would be out of a bunch of money.
So the city, the city purposely prosecuted you?
Right, right. Come to find out, in the city of Aurora, you're guilty until proven innocent. Good luck on being allowed to prove your innocence.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I had to learn that one the hard way. I had to get a lawyer and everything, and it was like crazy. And even though I stated my case, you know.
So did you plead guilty then?
I had no choice. I had to. It was one of those. I could plead innocent, but then we'd go through all this stuff, and then when the judge did find me guilty, then all the punishment would be a whole lot worse than if I just said I was guilty. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my saving grace was I was having one of my brains not in function modes going on while I was in court, and I guess he kinda gave pity on me because I should have been put on probation and all this other good stuff, and he didn't do any of that. He just, here's your fee, that's your punishment, get out of here, type of thing. So, but yeah, it was one of those, and they're.
So basically you have misdemeanor assault on your record.
Mhm. For
Okay.
the next 9 years now.
So your former friend, Annie, right, was she charged with anything with assault?
Scot-free.
Did she have any injuries?
Not that she showed a picture of a bruise, but we had no idea where or how she got it. You know, because I know I didn't hit her, you know, and I know I didn't do anything to cause it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no idea where this supposed bruise came from, you know. And the closest thing I can think of is at one point she did throw herself against the car, and she might have bumped it hard enough to give herself a bruise, but that's the only thing I could think of.
Okay.
You know, I was like, I didn't hit her, I don't know where it could have come from.
So this week, through the process of journaling,
Mhm.
right, what I was intending for you to do, I was going to let you just kind of continue to do what you wanted to do, was more or less self-reflect internally with your journal about your emotions. Not necessarily that you have to show those to anyone, but it's more or less to bring those things to the surface for your own, right? Now, when you've done as you did that this week, how did this week differ than the previous week? Granted, it was Father's Day weekend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I wasn't as emotional.
Why?
Probably because I've been doing it, you know, this stuff. Of course, I was really busy with all kinds of other things too.
Sure.
Ended up with 2 more assignments that I'm trying to scramble to get done.
Do you accept the fact that he's gone?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I accepted that before he died.
Okay. Do you accept that you have several positive memories?
Mhm.
Do you feel guilty that things couldn't have been done differently?
I don't know, it could've.
So reality is that you couldn't, or even accept the reality that things couldn't have been done differently from your part. You couldn't have done anything else. No guilt.
No, I just. um. I had a good relationship with my dad. And, even after he got, when the Alzheimer's started coming on, he had trouble talking. It's like his speech was like the first thing that went. And, I don't know, about 2 years before he left, he forgot who I was. And as far as he was concerned, I was just some nice lady that showed up every now and then, you know. I had to laugh because, I don't know, a few months before he passed away, my son was upset because my dad couldn't remember it. And I went to the nursing home, and the nurse was telling me how my dad was talking about his grandson who's in the service. Michael's the only one that's in the service. And so it just, it's like that for Michael. So it's like, he remembers me. But, I had learned sign language from a young age. And, you know, could talk and sign. And I had learned that just because you're not using ASL or whatever sign, you're still using signs. You know, you're still communicating without knowing what those signs are, you know, that type of thing. And I had taught my son sign language when he was a baby. And so we were able to communicate when he was extremely young. I mean, a couple of months old. You know, he was able to tell me what he wanted at a couple of months old because I took the time to learn his language. When Dad started losing his speech, I took the time to learn his language. And so everyone else was not having the patience to let him say what he has to say or whatever, you know, or communicate what's going on with him. He could communicate to me what was going on with him. You know, like one night him and Mom had this big blow up, you know, and Mom called some neighbors to come over and get Dad under control. And I was like, I'm staying out of this type of thing, so I went outside. My dad came outside and he was telling me how he felt like he could just go to hell as far as anybody else was concerned because nobody will hear him. Just because nobody took the time to hear him. Does that make sense? So I feel like my relationship personally with my dad is good. I hurt for the way others didn't take the time or didn't understand, didn't have the patience, that kind of thing. You know, so I hurt for my dad on that. And there's nothing I could have done about it. I don't know what else to tell you.
Not much more to tell me.
Yeah.
I think the reality is that you accept you accept him being gone, but you don't accept You're not accepting of the memories being gone. Those are things that you always have.
Right.
Moments of sadness and also moments of happiness. The sadness is the loss. The sadness is the state that he was in towards the end of his life.
Yeah.
Knowing that that was not him. But then the happiness is reflecting on all several memories that you have and draw joy to your life.
I still get a kick out of that stupid BB gun. Yeah, it's one of those. He bought the BB gun for my mother, of all people. You know, it's like, why did you buy it for, you know, it's obvious he wanted it for himself. There's no my mother wouldn't have anything to do with it. You know, it's one of those.
It's being, for you, you know, I notice one thing that you do is you transfer. And what I mean by that is when you reflect upon sad times, then it's a natural reaction to seek happy times. Right? Because sadness is not a positive thing that we like to be in.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Even though that you mentioned it last week too, you don't like feeling uncomfortable and emotional in front of other people. Right? But
Yeah.
it's part of your healing and emotional growth. Right? Is to be able to say, you know, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be emotional. There's no reason why not to.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, you stuff it internally. And when you stuff it internally, then you get angry. Because then you're transferring your emotion to something else.
Yeah.
But this was a good example of you reflecting on sad and then immediately going to something positive, which is the BB gun.
Yeah, that BB gun's just the funniest thing in this stuff. Michael's got that now. Matter of fact, when my mom gave it to me, told me to give it to Michael. And I got quite a few pictures of him using that when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And I handed it to him. I says, well, I was told to give this to you. And he's like, this brings back memories. So.
Well, it's to accept the fact that they were positive influences in your life.
Mm-hmm.
What would be sad is if you were doing this, you know, and realize that I have no positive memories. That's not the case.
No, he was a pretty good dad. You know, he wasn't perfect.
No, Dad is.
You know,
They're only perfect to you. I'm not perfect as a father.
Yeah, I will warn you when your kids become teenagers. Oh boy, that's going to be a challenge.
You only can do what you think you can do best. You know.
Yeah, I remember a few of our moments.
Seeking perfection to try to be the perfect parent will only drive yourself into insanity. And drive yourself into a state of depression when you realize that you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Then you realize you can never be a good parent.
Yeah. Well, my lesson was when it came to my kids and a situation would come up, I would remember how that issue came up with my parents and how I did not like the way they handled it.
So you try to handle it differently.
And so, like, for instance, this weekend, yesterday as a matter of fact, I was trying to fix that stupid dolly. The wheels wouldn't come off. And when we got the wheels off, then we couldn't find something because you had to break the thing that was holding the wheel on there, and so we had to find something to replace it. I was having quite the challenge with it. But I was working on that. And Michael and Gabby came out to talk, you know, and stuff. And Gabby made the comment to Michael, you son of a bitch. He goes, my mother is not a bitch. Most of the time. And I just started laughing, you know, and Gabby just kind of looked surprised. And I was like, I can be kind of on the testy side sometimes, so it's you know, if it was my mother, she would've just gone off, you know, or my sister would've gone off. But to me, it's like, what would that serve? You know, why would I, you know, I have my moments, everybody does, you know, and to not admit your own faults is stupid, so. But Michael just thinks it's cool that he can make comments like that around me and not offend me, and I think that's a good thing, so.
So, this week was a better week. Got you a little bit more on track.
A little more forward. And I got 2 new projects. One is reading a book for the church. It's called The Mercy Prayer. Now I'm supposed to be putting blogs out about it and stuff like that, because it's not out yet. It's going to be coming out in September time frame. So I have a time frame where I have to read as much as I can of the book, which is going to be tricky because my reading skills is not the best. And the other one, Shay has started another Shay Loss Challenge, which is a 5-week chubby challenge, as he calls it. And he says, make your first your before picture look hideous, just absolutely silly. So I posted mine and attempted to put it on my YouTube channel thing. It has me in shorts and my orange baggy shirt, and so I'm looking a little bit bigger than I am. I got an armload of ice cream in this hand and a pizza in this one, and my hair all messed up and so that's my before picture. And my thinking of my after picture, by then I should have me a new outfit and with a strawberry, you know, something like that, you know. But they're supposed to have several things that they're going to be doing throughout the week, and we're supposed to do a response video to whatever they're doing, so it's going to be interesting. Right now they're doing pull-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those trying to get these strong enough to be able to do it. But I was thinking of doing a silly thing where I got the bar up there and you see me on a chair or something pretending to you know, it's like when you're doing, you know, or Michael saying, you're doing great, Mom, and then you see the full view of me not really doing it.
Well, I hope you realize that over the last 2 weeks you've experienced when things are not going well and you're emotionally encountering some difficulties, then that reflects on the scale.
Oh yeah.
And when things are moving forward emotionally, we move forward.
Yeah. I've also
letting go doesn't mean giving up on the past. Letting go is accepting the past to allow yourself to move forward.
Right. Well, I know the first time I gained, it was like I was fighting the scale that whole week. You know, when the fence came down and I had an anxiety attack and all that kind of stuff. It was like I was fighting that scale. I made it my enemy type of thing. This week it was like, fuck it. It was just like, it says what it says. I know I'm not doing anything to cause that personally. It just is, you know, and so I refuse to allow myself to stress, because, you know, because when I started seeing the weight go up that morning, it was like, it's gonna do that. There's nothing I can do to stop it. You know, I'm still sticking to the diet, even though I'm struggling to eat anything. And it's weird, when I don't eat, I gain more. But that's what's happening. And you know, the second time I'm not fighting the scale. You know, I'll get on it, I'll look at it, I'll take the picture, and I'll walk away. That's it. You know, and so this morning when I got on there, I was like, I was down when I lower than I was. Okay, I'll take it. So.
Each one of those victories hopefully motivates you to keep moving.
Oh yeah. It does. You know, and falling back is don't get bent out of shape over it.
You're gonna have ups and downs, but my idea is just keep the ball moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Kinda like this, trying to fix a stupid fence. It's like, once I was like, okay, I'm ready to do this, I need some tools. Where are my tools? My garage is so full that I can't even walk in the door. So I spent, 3 days cleaning so I can find my tools. Finally found my tools. Had to fix his dolly in the process. But it's one of those type of things. Now I found my tools, now I can go do something about putting a border up around the fence so I can start putting the fence together type of thing. And I finally, today we're gonna go to the police station and get the amendment to the charges or the report. And I think I should have everything else good to go forward towards Excel and saying, are you guys going to fix this? Because otherwise I'm stuck and I have to do it myself,
Yeah.
But at least I have an idea what all I need to do, type of thing. And Dad taught me how to do it.
Have a positive memory.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to keep focusing on that. I'd like for you to get under the 260s by next week. Okay, so keep focusing, keep weighing. All right. You don't have to send me. Just send me. You don't have to send me the journals unless you want to. I try to do my best to skim them as much as I can. But I mean the content's there where you're reflecting on the positive things and you're associating the positive things with the present things. So which is good. Those are good things. We'll talk next week more about your mom. I saw that one. So.
Yeah, Mom.
Yeah.
Those are the videos that I probably won't put on Facebook for my mother to
see.
see.
So.
But yeah,
Because you're
Mom
leaving.
is my
When are
challenge.
you going up there in 2 weeks?
End of July.
End of July.
So you get a month. Okay. Because I'd really like to get through those topics before you go. So.
Yeah, Mom and I are getting better, but it's still a challenge, and it's more on her side than mine. It's one of those.
Well, communication's a two-way street.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Unless you communicate with the wall, then it's a one-way street.
I might as well. Sometimes it's one of those. It's one of those, she's in her 70s. She's set in her ways, type of thing. But she has in her mind what type of person I am. The problem is I'm not the person she thinks I am, and there's nothing I can do to prove otherwise. It took, like I said, I was in my 50s before we started having a decent relationship, and the only reason that happened is because I had to show her the pills for the anxiety attacks, and she was like, well, the reason you blew up was because you were taking these pills. And it's like, no, those are for while I'm having an anxiety attack, and all they do is make me pass out. I says the reason why I blew up that day is because you wouldn't shut up. You were screaming at me nonstop for how long? A person, no matter how positive they are, has their limits. Everyone has their limits. And to stand there and yell at me and constantly tell me I'm angry when I wasn't angry. What response is going to convince you that I'm not angry? And so it was funny because our first trip, we weren't going to go visit Mom and Dad in South Dakota. We were going to go to South Dakota, but we weren't going to see them. And it upset my mother that we weren't going to go there, so she talked us into going. And so our first visit after that situation, she was doing something and she says, oh, you're mad at me. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that. I need to stop saying that. And I'm like, when did this happen? Because for years I've heard her tell me what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, and none of it being close to it. And to have her correct herself on it took me totally by surprise. And I was like, okay, and I could see her as time went by, she was constantly trying to correct that, but she still insists that the reason why we didn't get along with each other was because of me. And it's like, No. I granted, when I was a teenager, I'll grant you that one. It's like teenagers, you're gonna have so much fun with your teenagers. It's like their brain is that half child, half adult, and so their thought processes are going this away, and it will continue until they're 24, 25 years old. And so my son is just starting to come out of that, and so he's starting to act like a human. So when I saw that stuff going on with my kids, I just went with the flow. It doesn't do any good to fight it. It doesn't do any good to correct it. Just go with it, type of thing. Short of busting Adam when I found the marijuana, yeah, he was busted. There was just no way around it. Or Ashley got busted for the stealing, and she was forging signatures. Called the cops on her.
Sure.
Michael was the stealing.
Michael was the stealing, yeah.
So keep journaling. I want this coming week to be, we're going to start talking about your mom over the next few weeks.
Okay.
I want to focus on that.
Okay.
I think that would be helpful for when you do go up to South Dakota. And I did get those emails, by the way, so about South Dakota, so I appreciate that.
Oh, okay. You did.
Yeah, I did see those.
Were they helpful at all?
Yeah, so I mean, we're just, I don't know if we'll be able to make it up to this year, but at least I've got it as a reference point for a future. But I did kind of skim through it a little bit. I didn't go over to the website just quite yet from the link that you sent me, but I can see the website address in there.
Okay. Well, I had a thought for when we go up, because we're gonna have some time to ourselves. If there's anything that you want information from or
Sure.
about or a video on, let me know.
Okay.
And I, like there's Flintstone Park in Custer.
Yeah.
And the kids would get a kick out of that.
I imagine it to be similar to, well, it's more based on the Flintstones, but they've got Jellystones here. So like in Estes Park and down on Larchwood, I think.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of the same,
Same
concept. Sometimes they have the car running, which is the Flintstone car, and they'll drive you around the park, and they have a little theater where you can buy popcorn for like $0.25, and it's basically just reruns of the old Flintstones cartoons, that kind of thing. And then they have the Bedrock town, and they have a little train that you go through, and so for kids your age, their age, I think they would have a kick out of it, climbing on things and running through things, that kind of stuff. It seemed to me they had a campground, but when I tried to get information on it, I couldn't get it, so I was like, what's it have? Oh, and they have a gift store, and they do have a snack thing, and of course all the food is labeled according to, like a Dino dog or something like that. Instead of a hot dog, it's a hot Dino or something silly. Every now and then we're like, what is? Can you translate that in our English? But they had all kinds of stuff down there. And Custer is a very, very small town, like a one street thing, but they have a bunch of hotels and stuff like that. Some more modern, some more country type of thing, with swimming pools and stuff like that. But that's usually where when we went to go stay, that's where we stayed at, and it's like Crazy Horse is just out of town, and what's that place?
Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore is maybe 35 miles from there, if that. Granted, if you got a good car, you'll get up there with no problem, but there is some steep hills on the way out. So, and I like the way they changed it, where you can walk underneath everything, and there's plaques that tell you about all the different presidents and stuff that tells you how the histories of it, that kind of thing. So it's really kind of cool, but it's a good central location from everything. And then there's the hot springs that are in the opposite direction. It's Evans Plunge, I think it's called.
It's a hot spring. It's a plunge.
It's hot springs, so you can go swimming in the hot springs. So there's all kinds of cool stuff around there. But I warn you, everything's real small. And if you see buffalo on the road, just park your car and call it good until they leave. Big clue. There's always some dummy that tries to not do that. brought to this herd, you know, did you not notice the newborns in the herd,
Yeah, they're pretty aggressive. They protect their own.
Yeah, yeah, I don't, you know, I'm sure that person eventually got out of there after the buffalo left.
So tell me, next week is the 3rd.
Oh.
And so we're gonna work that morning, then we're gonna close down probably early in the day. Unless you're gonna be.
That's the court date.
Okay. What about the 2nd?
Probably
It's
do
up
it the
to you.
2nd?
I'll be working, I'll be getting off of work.
Yeah, but you get off at 6:30 in the morning.
What time's your court date on the 3rd?
It's at 10:30.
10:30?
Yeah, and you never know what they're going to be.
Yeah. It could be 5 minutes, it could be.
Yeah, okay.
Well, depending when they actually call them
What
in
time?
for the.
Is it 10:30?
10:30.
10 o'clock, I thought.
Or 10 o'clock?
Well, I could do, I mean, if you want, I mean, I could do an 8 o'clock
Oh, I guess we could do that.
on Wednesday.
That'd be cool.
We could do 8 a.m.
Okay.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's in here somewhere.
Let me look real quick.
You can go ahead and turn that off there.